What's going on, Badger Nation? Welcome to the PPC Den podcast, the world's first and longest running show all about Amazon advertising to make your Amazon PPC life a little bit easier and a little bit more profitable. We're going to jump right into it today. We have an intermediate to advanced bidding concept known as minimum and maximum bids, or min-max bids. Let the games begin. So let's say you're in a situation like this. Jimmy, he logged into Amazon, he starts optimizing things. He sees that some keywords have a high ACoS. So he says, I'm gonna start slashing these bids. The ACoS is so high, I'm just gonna start trimming this down. He's changing bids from $2 to 50 cents. He's doing the right stuff, right? Then his business partner walks in the room, he says, hey man, those were my ranking keywords. I knew that they were gonna have a high ACoS. We're bidding for rank. Tough stuff. And this brings up an interesting concept, which is the concept of minimum and maximum bids, right? Imagine if those campaigns were sort of labeled ranking campaigns. Don't bid below $1. Don't bid below $2 or something like that. And that is an intermediate bid optimization concept called the minimum and maximum bid. I've talked a lot about bid management over the years. I think my first video was 6 years ago, introduction to how to optimize Amazon PPC bids for sponsored products. It's one of our most popular videos here on the channel. On YouTube, it has 25,000 views. And of course, on audio, it had a bunch of listens as well. So it's one of our most popular concepts. If you're overwhelmed or you want to get started with bidding, please go to the checklist that we have in the description. It's one of our most popular pieces of content that we've created. Essentially what it does is it organizes all 300 plus episodes that we've been creating here weekly for you, so that you can see the first video in that section is goal basics, how to set goals, which are paramount to your bid optimization process. Now, I want to do a quick 3-minute bidding exercise with you. What we're going to do here is we're going to look at some common metrics: clicks, cost, CPC, orders, revenue. RPC stands for revenue per click. It is the cousin of CPC, which is of course cost per click, conversion rate, average order value, and of course, ad cost of sales, also known as ACoS. Now let's say in time frame A, the time that it took for a particular keyword to get 100 clicks. Let's walk through these numbers really fast. 100 clicks, $250 cost, that's CPC at $250. Let's say you had 11 orders, $219 of revenue. That would be a $2.20 revenue per click. So we're taking that $220 of revenue, we're dividing it by 100 clicks, and we're landing on $220 revenue per click. That means every time this keyword got a click, it averaged $2.20 of revenue, and we actually averaged $250 of cost. So this actually means we were at an ACoS over 100%. Basically, we spent more than we generated revenue. So what does bid optimization basics tell us to do here? Well, it tells us to decrease the CPC. Let's reduce our bid. Let's say in time frame B, the next 100 clicks, we get $2.20 average CPC. So for the next 100 clicks, we get the same 100 clicks for the same keyword, for the same product. And this time we paid $2.20 per click. We did the same $2.20 revenue per click. We would land, if you spend the same amount as all the revenue you generate, that's 100% ACoS. So we improved from 113% ACoS to 100% ACoS by reducing the bid, right? Basic bid optimization stuff. Next cycle of 100 keywords, same 100 clicks for the same keyword, the same product. This time we bid down even further at 150 instead of the original 250. Now we're at 150. Work our same way down, same product, same keyword, same conversion rate. We land at 68% ACoS at this point, right? So as we bid lower, our ACoS improves. And finally, let's say the bid gets brought all the way down and that we are now coming in at a 75-cent cost per click. That would put us at a 34% ACoS. So these 4 timeframes where we get 100 clicks each time frame, but the only thing that we're changing is our bidding. During this time frame, we would land all the way from 113% ACoS all the way down to 34% ACoS by optimizing those bids. Now, the most simple bidding mathematics you can ever do is your target ACoS multiplied by your revenue per click. It allows you to take the reins from Amazon and determine your fate a little bit more, which is why I probably would wager why RPC is not a column inside Amazon, because you'd see what keywords are truly valuable, and now you wouldn't be swayed by like overall metrics. You'd be looking at the revenue per click performance for that particular keyword. It's why we include it inside our software. Now, imagine if you had that target ACoS in here of 34% down the line in time frame A. You would be able to take your RPC, which has been 220 in every time frame here, but in that first cycle, you have that first RPC value, 34%, you'd multiply 34% times your RPC, and you'd land at 75 cents, meaning every time you get a click, you generate 220 revenue and you spend 75. Well, 75 cents is 34% of 220. So you'd be at your target ACoS. This is the basics of bid optimization. If this is unclear, go back to the last 3 minutes and rewatch this section. It's one of the most fundamental things of PPC optimization. It is the cornerstone. How much do you generate per click? How much do you want to spend per click? Everything else is icing on the cake. So to recap, what does changing your bid actually end up doing? What does a higher CPC mean? Well, it generally means a higher CPC, better position, you get more clicks in less time. A lower CPC means lower position, takes longer to get the same amount of clicks. So in this sort of example that we have here, these time frames are not the same amount of time. Like time A is going to be much shorter than time B. Time C is going to be shorter than time D, right? So it might look something like this. With a very big bid, it might take you 7 days to get 100 clicks. With a very small bid all the way on the right side here, it might take you 19 days to get the same 100 clicks. So this is why, a lot of Amazon sellers, we are bidding for performance, efficiency, how much we're spending versus what we're generating, as opposed to just clicks per day. So that is where bid optimization is such a vital part of this entire process. Now, where does a minimum and maximum bid come into play here? A minimum and maximum bid is a boundary that you set for yourself. It's not an Amazon feature. There's nowhere in Amazon where you set your bid and then set a minimum and maximum. It's a boundary that you set yourself to avoid going over a limit that you set for yourself. So if you ever said, don't take this keyword, don't bid above 3 and don't bid below 1, that is the use case for minimum and maximum bids. So if you want a keyword to stay aggressive, you want to tell it to never go below a certain bid. Jimmy in the beginning, if it was labeled like, hey, never bid this below 1 or never bid this below 2, whatever they would consider, that would be a good use case for a minimum bid. And there's lots of reasons to do this. I never want to bid low if I'm bidding on a competitor, because the performance isn't going to be what I want. Like I might have a high ACoS, but don't go below a certain threshold because I want to stay visible. I want to stay somewhat competitive for it. Ranking keywords, you're reaching for, a really juicy keyword you want to rank for. It might have a performance that you don't love. Like it might have a revenue per click or an ACoS you don't like, but you don't want to go below something. So you set a minimum bid. How about inventory management? I want a certain amount of clicks every day for a particular product. So I'm going to set a minimum bid so that I don't take away all my click velocity. And conversion rate will be better in the future. That's another reason. So maybe I'm predicting my revenue per click will be better in the future. Maybe I'm going to do some price optimization, or I'm going to be playing with some product page optimization, and I want to keep my bids at a certain level because I'm expecting a better revenue per click in the future. And if you want your bids to stay conservative and not go above a certain bid, this is the exact inverse. There's lots of reasons to set a maximum bid. Maybe it's self-branded targeting. If I'm Nike, I'm going to put a max bid on Nike related keywords because I don't want to spend so much on them. Maybe I'm already ranking for a keyword organically and I want to stay in the auction, but I don't want to bid so much. Maybe I just want to completely dominate a keyword, or I have a keyword that is dominant and I don't want to spend so much on it because I know that my conversion rate is going to be so good already. And maybe I just launched a whole bunch of new keywords and I want to control how fast these keywords get traffic. There's lots of reasons to sort of have this minimum and maximum bid limit somewhere in your head when you're optimizing. So again, minimum bids allows you to maintain a certain amount of clicks over time. It allows you to stay competitive for keywords that maybe have a high ACoS. And on the maximum side, you set a maximum bid because maybe you don't want to push it, because you're already dominant for it. Or maybe you don't want to push it because you're testing a lot right now. You don't want to test too much too soon. So having this concept of a minimum and maximum bid and then working within that minimum maximum is an advanced to intermediate bidding strategy that everyone out there in Badger Nation should be aware of. So you can do lots with this. You can insert it into your campaign titles or your ad group titles to remind yourself of these certain things. You can just simply have it in your head when you're navigating through your day-to-day Amazon experience, but it's definitely something that everyone out there in Badger Nation should be aware of. Another use case of the minimum and maximum bid, Ad Badger, when I was working on developing the algorithm, and something that I've worked on since 2017, it might have been 2018, 2019, where we inserted the concept of a minimum and maximum. It's really improved what it is that we do for our customers. And basically, it allows people to inform an algorithm of something that potentially hasn't happened yet, for example, where it's like, hey, I'm going to go into hot season, take all my minimum bids and increase it by 25%. So instead of a minimum of $1, now all my minimums are $1.25. So I'm going to be pushing it a little bit. Maybe I have a hunch on a new campaign and there's not enough data yet. So I'm sort of informing it. I'm nudging it in a particular direction. So I always love the concept, if someone's using a bidding algorithm like Ad Badger, they no longer have to optimize bids, but they can optimize the algorithm. And we have lots of different ways to interact and navigate that process, which I think is really cool. So one concept to sort of use here, when you're looking at a keyword, the way that we do it, and you can see it on the right side, it basically says you select a keyword and it says your average CPC for this keyword in the last 30 days was $2.75. Just a little reminder there. So as you're looking at that keyword, I'm looking at what it was doing the last 30 days. And then I use that as a threshold. I sort of look at that and I say, okay, last 30 days, it has had 100 clicks. I don't love the ACoS. Now, a bidding algorithm is going to move it in the right direction, but if I wanted to inform it in any way, to put my own guardrails in there to sort of work with the intelligence, that's something that I can do here, which is really neat. So what we like to do is actually have these little sliders where the middle is basically 3x for the max, and the middle is basically a half for the min. So you can sort of get a good sense of a reasonable minimum and maximum. And then of course, if I'm working on a ranking campaign, I'm going to slide all that stuff up to the right because I want to get more aggressive with it. So it just allows you to operate in a really, really advanced way. So I invite anyone out there, whether you're using our tool or not, to have this concept of what is the lowest bid I would possibly want in this campaign? What is the highest bid I would possibly want in this campaign? And it's something that I believe the very, very best bid optimizers factor into their decision-making, where you go in and you look at the performance and you don't just necessarily knee-jerk it, revenue per click multiplied by target ACoS. You want to give yourself some guardrails. So think about that as you go on your optimization journey. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week here on the PPC Den podcast. Peace.